unstoppable guy that just keeps coming and keeps coming. Was kind of
and that dude is unstoppable. Whenever you're in a game and Scion just can't die, he is. There's like a Scion horizon, at which point no more deaths can occur for the character.
As opposed to Callista or even Hecarim, which are also undead, but in a very different vibe.
Yeah. Thanks to the Ghost buff, Senjutsu player here. We see you. Triforce. People are talking about Triforce again. We answered Triforce at the top of the stream, but the TLDR on Triforce, we'll try and make this quick, is it is primarily supposed to be used by champions who are like bruisers or fighters and kind of rely on like one item spikes and then go into tank. It's just super bad on those characters and kind of most anyone. The crit seems rather vestigial and it isn't used by those characters. The idea is if we make it more in the CDR realm and using Sheen as a pattern, we can make a lot of those characters happy and kind of fulfill the role that they're supposed to have in the game. No guarantees that what you're seeing on the PvE will happen, but guarantee that Trinity Force will be in the upcoming patch. Let's see.
Are we working on the tribunal system? Is it shut down permanently? It is not shut down permanently. We are considering our next move. Like I said, we would love to also have it look at positive or sportsmanlike behavior and not just be a tool for punishment.
Yeah. Have you talked about Swain yet? Yes, in the sense that we know he's pretty OP right now. He's not a whole ton overpowered, but he jumped up pretty high. Per the dev's comments on Reddit, he's being pushed more to top than mid. I don't think it's about him being pushed more top or mid. Greg had a really good point earlier about how it's like, we kind of want you to be good at least one place, and then if you can be good multiple places without breaking core rules of your character, that's fine. I think Swain is someone that we felt is more attractive to top lane because he kind of preys on like base damage driven tanks because they rarely lack, or they often lack the damage to kill him. And he can kind of farm up, and he's one of those characters, top lane used to be the traditional, I farm for a long amount of time and then come down and make a big splash. We think Swain's one of those characters. He's also on the tankier side, so you can kind of, he can kind of build defenses and survive like multiple passes of ganks in a long lane. So it feels kind of like more natural to put him there. Mid lane, he's fine. I mean, I'm not upset if I'm going to have a Swain mid, especially in this patch, but generally. But yeah, that's why I think is one of the things. Same thing with Vlad. Vlad's good mid, but we would traditionally think of Vlad as a top laner for those reasons.
There was a solo dynamic queue question. I'm surprised there aren't more. I've said this before, but our communication and kind of what we're thinking about with those problems has been not great. We apologize for that. We need to do a better job. And we have some messaging coming out, hopefully as early as Monday, to kind of give you guys a lot more in-depth information on what we're thinking about, the problems we're trying to solve, and kind of the future of the queue. So hopefully you won't hate me if it doesn't actually make it Monday, but that's the plan.
Yeah. I'm not going to answer this question. I'm not going to call it out, but I'm going to let you see it, and I'm going to let players know. Someone asked a question about something that might be happening, and so I won't call it out.
Well played.
But now, like 10 people are like,
"Which one
my
was it?
Thing? Is it my thing?
Was it the dancing champion?"
Yeah. Who knew? Someone in this in huge stream asked a question of something that might end up happening.
Thousands of players, and someone came up with the idea.
Yeah. I don't know what these brutal and savage comments are about. I don't know which one these are. Is it because we're still living in the past? Let's see. Rise is... I don't think he's the next... I mean, he might be because it's really short. It's really small scope, actually. Like, well, compared to the, like, York taking like a million years and Terra taking a really long time. Not exactly sure. Let's see. Can we get some news on any Diana changes? If there are any, there are not any Diana changes planned.
I'm not aware of any.
She's kind of a character that has always just been like pretty powerful, like stays right at the middle. But well, if she ever drops like too far low or too high, we'll think about it. But I think she's right in the middle with all the other characters that feel forgotten because they're just perfectly normal.
Do we help in the creation of League of Legends hentai? I would say indirectly by creating the characters that those authors and artists can use.
Yeah, you can find Greg Street's Patreon.
I'm doing a Kickstarter for my League hentai.
Yeah, there it is. Can there be an AD Hextech Protobelt? I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know. What do you think?
I was gonna say theoretically there could be anything.
Yeah, I mean, theoretically there could be anything.
Is it good or?
I think we've always struggled with this for the same reason that like AD Zhonya's and AD versions of other items, because like attack damage is just so warping and different because it means your basic attacks are good, right? And so right now when a mage gets close to you using the proto belt, they're using like some spells and then they're usually done after that, right? This is just saying it's like, can my Xin Shao have another dash? And that sounds like way more frightening to me than like, can Victor get a little closer to me and then still die to the same stuff and have to deal with cooldowns and things. So ETA and Battle Buddy Urgot in my dreams. In my dreams is where Battle Buddy Urgot resides.
There's a question on earning S or S+.
Yeah.
A lot of it has to do with CS and gold. If you are right on the edge, you may want to look at that.
Yeah, I think it's weird because S and S Plus are there for a lot of things, and they also like match you against other people who play in like that bracket and play that champion and that role and things. And so there's a thing where it's like you can have like an S- or an S game where you went off on Fizz, as you say, but what that means is that there's someone there. More Fizz players on average are doing more things on the map than just getting the kills, right? And things like that.
They're getting kills and they're getting high gold or something like that.
Yeah. Let's see.
We talked about Warwick. We talked about Honor. We talked about Voice.
What major work do you feel is going by unnoticed despite being very strong? It's weird because I don't know which ones are being unnoticed necessarily. I think Brand is kind of shenanigans, and I don't hear a lot of people talk about Brand if we're talking about like the big six, you know, people haven't really talked about that one. I don't know. Annie, I think like Annie's Tibbers just mauls the hell out of
true.
people.
I'm not hearing much about Annie.
Which is weird because we almost always hear people talking about Annie.
Even we don't make any changes to Annie, we hear about Annie.
Yeah. Well, usually a lot of talking about Annie. No Trundle changes in store right now, but this is tied to the QSS thing. Like every champion who was previously kept in check because of QSS, we're always looking at it, right? If Trundle gets out of line, I think we're gonna, you know, he is one of the top tier people that we are like, if that guy specifically gets out of line, we would want to look at him specifically because we removed a release valve. I don't know if Garrosh was inspiration for new Scion, but I definitely think it's one of, like, it's up there, right, in terms of, like, you know, I also think Khal Drogo, we had some old concepts of, like, what human Scion looked like.
Right,
and it was cool. He had the ponytail,
yeah.
and that's what I love about current Scion is he has a dagger stuck into the back of his head to
hold the hair
to be the ponytail, which is kind of sweet. Let's see. Dash says hello. Dashboard says hello to all of you. When did you change from WoW and why? I mean, you changed from WoW, what, like 2 years ago?
So it's been over 2 years ago.
Yeah,
2 years
I think
now.
a little over, maybe.
I mean, and why? I don't know. I had been working on World of Warcraft for about 6 years, and I kind of felt like I was at the point where I was getting a little bored, and I risked making changes to the game, not because the game needed them or players wanted them, but because it was entertaining for me, which is usually indication as a developer that you need to move on. I really love Riot, and there's a ton of really difficult, if not impossible, problems to solve in League of Legends, so it's super fun for me right now.
I like this. What the hell happened to Ghostcrawler? He looks 100 years older. It's been a minute.
It's not the years, it's the mileage.
Yeah. We usually get some of those. We had the one where someone called you like a Russian mobster.
Yeah.
Or something. I was happy with that. Huzzah, no Diana changes. All the Diana mains that are winning a lot right now are sighing a breath of relief. There's the Patreon comments. Okay, that's where we are. That's where we are in the past right now.
How are we doing on time?
Do they talked about hentai? I guess
we
technically
do.
we did.
From now on, this is going to be a hentai stream.
Oh Lord, no, that is not. I love the what face.
Don't judge.
Battle Bunny got noticed by Senpai. Would you ever consider creating a champion that had Kassadin's passive but with physical instead of magical damage? Man, I don't know. Damage reduction is tough because it's like not very interactive. I think Kassadin's one of those cases similar with like Galio and like Rammus kind of conversion passives, right? They're like they're kind of flat. They don't really do a whole
You're not making a lot of decisions. There's not much you can do as a as the other player.
Yeah, Casson used to be even worse because he was like, you naturally wanted to play this guy in a mages because he silenced you and blinked, and your spellcast gave him power. And it's like, and I take less damage from you. And it's like, what? Why? No. And so I think the active version where Cass's Q gives you a shield, but only for magic damage, I think we would do more stuff like that to be like, oh, that's why he's the anti-mage, is he's got this cool thing that makes you feel like you can use it.
There was a question, I lost it. There's a question about would we put more damage numbers and coefficients and scaling in the client. Our opinion on that is like, if you have played 1,000 games of League of Legends, you probably know a lot of that stuff already. And if you haven't, you're probably not going to stop in the middle of the game and analyze it and be like, oh, I should pick this item because I have really high scaling on AP or whatever. I think it's great to provide that information, and maybe we should do a better job than we do of providing it. That said, there are a lot of community sites that do provide the information, so if you just want it, it's out there. Just don't know if, bloating our already complicated, gigantic tooltips even more is the right solution.
Yeah, I gotta shout outs. Are you gonna be keeping it with Get on My Level 2016? It's a major Melee tournament candidate this weekend. First off, it's not just a Melee tournament, it's also a Smash 4 tournament, and Zero's coming out of retirement. So I will be watching for both of them, and I expect Dewan to finish top 8.
Nice.
So there you go. That's how keeping up with Get on My Level I'm about to be.
Will Mundo ever get a rework? I don't personally know that he needs a rework.
I've got a little story here. We, at one point, had a Mundo rework, it was ready to go. And then we...
you had a 4-hit passive and a nice new move block.
Well, it wasn't, crazy. This was, a couple years ago, and we were like, man, Mundo's really bad. I guess we got to rework him because his mechanic is so bad for whatever reasons. And then whoever was working on the rework took a leave of absence for a couple months. I don't remember who it was or what the circumstances were around it. They ended up coming back. It was fine. But we were like, oh, Mundo seems like he's in such a bad spot, but this rework is coming so far into the future. Let's just buff him and see what happens. And what happened was he became a jungler and was fine.
Yeah.
The community was playing him. This is for people out there who played for a long time, this was 2012 maybe, maybe really early 2013. And we realized oh, this character's just good. And we don't need to rework them. And I agree with everyone. It sucks when Mundo is the king and best character, but he's also kind of unique in terms of he's a big old tanky idiot and he runs places where he wants. Trains on people by hitting a skill shot and doesn't just perma-slow them and stuff. I think Mundo gets a lot more flack than he deserves, but that's, if anything, that's what I would say about a Mundo rework, is it's maybe we give him one far, far, far into the future.
Right, and he could, there's a question of, are the numbers off or things like that, which is different from does he need a rework. I saw a similar question about Tryndamere, and I think that he is the type of champion that I think will benefit from the class work we're doing right now, because he feels like he kind of wants to be a melee carry, and we've never done a really good job of figuring out what that means. And now maybe there's room for something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think reworks are ones that we try to look at, either if we're looking at the class holistically, with mages or whatever, we're what can we do to improve the champion's play? But reworks are really we don't know if there's something that we can do long term to let this character be in the game, right? Yeah. Which I think,
particularly when it's a question of, oh, if we increase the numbers, they're 100% pick ban. If we decrease the numbers, they're never playable because there's someone else who does what they do better. That's usually a good indication that we just need to change the champion skills, completely, so that we don't have this problem.
Yeah, I hear you. Let's see. So
we're getting down to the
wire here. We got about 5 more minutes, so we're gonna scroll through and see if we can't get a couple more questions out of this. I see the Bobby Scar thing in here.
Rengar, that's a great candidate for assassin work. We'll see if he makes it.
Yeah, let's see. What are the chances? Ooh, oh God, we're going too fast now. It said it was in slow mode, but it's not slow at all. Why did you guys give Cassiopeia's W minimum range? Well, we reduced it this patch, and James Bach Static, who's on the podcast, had a really good reason for it, which is grounded. The debuff is one of the most powerful things we've ever done in League of Legends. You guys got to understand, it's just,
and we knew
really
at the time
up there.
That it was, it's gonna be
right. And I think I speak for everyone when we say I think we all know that we overreacted, and we were so scared of Cassiopeia's power that we made her really weak. But the minimum damage is because you don't want to create a situation where the optimal play is always just throw it directly on top of you, because Cassiopeia, we still want to be a champion if she gets caught out and she's not kiting effectively, she can die. right? But with the grounded debuff is like, cool, well, if a reset champion or someone with like multiple dashes gets right up next to you, you're gonna be like, boop, and I explode you.
Yeah.
Right? It cuts into her feeling weak when she's, she gets to poison you so she can hit you with ease constantly, but also, she screws you over for doing the thing we want you to do. So I think that's